Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.
Welcome everyone to Fergo and the Freak. I'm your host, the Glorious League Freak. You can find me on Twitter at League Freak. Andrew isn't here tonight, but that's all good. We're going to forge ahead with our Round 13 NRL preview. Now, this is going to be a short one. Very, very short. You probably won't even feel it. There's only 4 games this round. It's a split round in round 13. And we've got a lot of teams that have players out for the State of Origin series as well. So it throws up some interesting games that, you know, normally when you would bet these sort of games, there's some of them that would be locks. But because of these players all being out for Origin, you don't really know how these sides are going to react. So let's get stuck into the previews. Now on Thursday night, we have the Gold Coast Titans. They're hosting the North Queensland Cowboys on Palmerbet.com, who are our sponsors for the entire season. We love having Palmerbet on board. Gamble responsibly. Palmerbet.com has the Cowboys still favourites in this one. So the North Queensland Cowboys are at $1.52 in the head-to-head. The Gold Coast Titans are at $2.55. The line has been set with the Gold Coast Titans getting a 4.5-point start. That's at $1.90. The North Queensland Cowboys with 4.5 handicap is also at $1.90. Now, for this game, obviously both teams have been hit by State of Origin players. So for the Gold Coast Titans, they're missing David Fifita. Will they even know? And Big Tino is out. He's a big out for the Titans. For the Cowboys, they're missing Jeremiah Nanai, Ruben Cotter, and Valentine Holmes, but they're also missing Todd Dearden as well for this one. Now, there's a couple of big ins for both sides. Fodawaker comes in for the Titans. He's really going to be a good cover for Big Tino. He's one of those players that I think goes under the radar a little bit in the NRL, but he's a really, really good player. I love watching him play. Herman Sa comes back into the side too. Patrick Herbert as well. For the Cowboys, Ben Hampton comes into the side. He comes in for Dearden, but the big in for them is a guy called Jason Taumalolo returns. And boy, did they miss him against the Penrith Panthers last week. This is a really difficult game for me to tip. I would normally have gone for the Titans, but they're so flaky. Like, they're just so flaky. And anytime you see a game where you think, oh yeah, they probably should win that one, they lose it and they disappoint you. And I just can't be that disappointed over and over again. That's what she said. So I think I'm probably going to tip the Cowboys, especially considering that Jason Taumalolo is back. Their losses, I think they can overcome them losses a little bit better than the Titans can with the loss of Big Tino. But this game is, you know, I could be talked into tipping the Titans as well. But the problem is, as I said, I just can't be disappointed by the Titans again. So I'm just not going to do it. I refuse to do it. And if they don't like it, I don't care. Now, the second game of the round, your NRL Premiers and the world champion Penrith Panthers, they take on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs out at the 9th wonder of the world, Penrith Football Stadium. The 10th wonder of the world will be the new stadium. In the head-to-head, Palmerbet.com has the Panthers as overwhelming favourites despite all of their outs. So the Panthers are at $1.30 in the head-to-head. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, they're at $3.42. That is huge when you look at some of the outs that the Panthers have. The line has been set with the Canterbury Bulldogs getting 10.5-point head start, which is massive when you look at how many outs Penrith has. They're at $1.90 with a 10.5-point handicap. The Penrith Panthers are also at $1.90. Now, let's have a look at some of the names that are out. First of all, Bulldogs have no outs in this one, okay? The Penrith Panthers are missing Brian To'o, Isaiah Yeo, Jerome Luai, Liam Martin, Nathan Cleary, and Stephen Crichton. Now, that's seen a massive, massive reshuffle to their side. Robert Jennings has come in, as has Charlie Staines. That worries me a little bit in the defensive side of things. Kurt Falls has been named at 5'8", alongside Sean O'Sullivan, who he went really good early in the year when Nathan Cleary was out injured. And then the Panthers are able to play Api Coruscant, which is huge for them, because he was in the Origin squad, on the extended squad, but he'll be able to line up for the Panthers. Their forward pack, they're not missing too many players. Chris Smith comes in. Matt Eisenhuth has been named at lock as well. But they've got so much strength up front. Like their forward pack, Jamin Salmon is being named as 17th man. Like he's a really handy 17th man. So I can see where the Panthers pack is still rock solid, but the back line is very, 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 very thin. Look, normally I would have gone with the Bulldogs in this one, but it's just too difficult. Once again, it's almost like a Gold Coast Titans situation where I just can't bring myself to do it. I think that if you want to take the Bulldogs with a 10.5 point head start, it's juicy, juicy odds that Palmerbet.com are giving you. And even their head-to-head, like, you take out all of those plays, they're probably, obviously Cleary is very, very hard to replace, but just as a group, those dudes, like, if the Panthers win this game, it's kind of going to be shocking for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, and I think their fans will be really despondent. We saw some news this week where it was really funny. Phil Gould come out and he said he's had nobody apply for the Bulldogs job just yet. But then there was a news clip that come out of him saying that they were getting all sorts of applications from all over the place. And I asked Bulldogs fans on Twitter what they thought about the way Phil Gould basically treats them as a supporter base, because there just seems to be a lot of unnecessary game playing going on. And we've talked about Phil Gould likes to have drama. He really, really enjoys drama. I don't understand it. But if you look at that sort of situation and compare it to a team, for instance, like the Melbourne Storm, you never hear anything out of the Storm. And I know it's a different situation. They're winning games and Bellamy's been there forever. But when players come and go, you never hear the Storm management saying anything about it. You never hear them commenting about, this player, that player, blah, blah, blah. And Phil Gould loves commenting on everything. It's, he's been part of the media for so long. It's his job, I guess. But I just wonder, it does eventually wear on a supporter base. And I would dare say that, Phil Gould come into the Panthers and he did a clean out that they needed to do. But then he really started to wear on the Panthers supporter base, I feel. And, by the time he left, it was a bit of a relief. And I wonder how long it would take for the Bulldogs supporter base to get to that point, especially when you consider that they're not winning games. Losing games makes everything worse. So, I don't know. Maybe Bulldogs fans, if you want to send in an email, let us know. Go to podcast@leaguefreak.com. Send us an email. Tell us what you're thinking. Now, the next game of the round, Saturday evening, we see the Manly Warringah Seagulls, and they're at their cursed home ground. We all know about the North Sydney jersey that's buried underneath their new stand there on the northern end. They host the New Zealand Warriors. Now, the Manly Warringah Seagulls are favourites with Palmerbet.com. You can get them at $1.50 in the head-to-head. The New Zealand Warriors are at $2.50. Now, the Warriors have a 4.5 point head start. They're at $1.90. And with the 4.5 point handicap, Manly are at $1.90 as well. Now, obviously, the big out for the Seagulls, DCE, Daly Cherry Evans. that's a bit of a rough one. They get back Martin Tapau, and they also get Jason Saab back as well. So they're pretty good replacements. There's no major changes to the Warriors side. And this, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I would normally think, you know what, I'll go for the Warriors, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. I think that they can cover the loss of DCE and still beat the Warriors. The Warriors are tragic. It's difficult because I know Warriors fans are hurting. And the last thing Warriors fans want to hear is me jumping on here and bagging the team and the club and the way it's run. Like, it's not fun to hear. I just feel really bad for Warriors fans. Like, they haven't seen their team play on home soil for a couple of years now. The team could be playing in New Zealand right now. Like, you can travel to and from New Zealand. I don't know why they're playing all their home games here still. It makes no sense at all. They've got that big Matt Lodge mess. Who knows what happened there? And it's one of those situations where a club gets to every so often where you just ask yourself what the Warriors fans look towards. And I don't know. I really don't know. I just feel sorry for you guys. I really do. It sucks. It sucks when you're following a club like that. And I know Andrew's followed a club like that for forever. I know the Panthers at times have been in those helpless situations. And it's just rotten when the best you can hope for is to not lose by a big scoreline. And that's where these teams are at right now with some of them. It's not good to see. So I've got to go for Manly just because I have zero faith in the New Zealand Warriors, unfortunately. Now, the last game of the round, we see the Canberra Raiders hosting the Sydney Roosters. On Palmerbet.com, the Sydney Roosters are at $1.60. That's pretty short. The Raiders, who have been in all right form recently, they're at $2.35. They're also hosting the game down there in Canberra, where, believe me, it will be colder than a witch's tit. Now, the line has been set at 4.5 points for this game as well. The Raiders are at $1.90 with a 4.5 point head start, and the Sydney Roosters with the 4.5 point handicap are also at $1.90. Now, looking at the ins and outs, Jack Whiten won't be there for the Raiders. I think that they could cover that much easier than a lot of people think. The problem is they're also missing Josh Papali. Now, on the Roosters side, they're missing Daniel Tupou, James Tedesco, you've probably heard of him, and Lindsay Collins. Now, Tedesco being out of the side allows Joseph Manu to go to fullback. And when Manu plays fullback for the Roosters, you look at him and you think, this guy is $1 million fullback. He's maybe a better fullback than he is a centre. He's absolutely outstanding, and you really get to see him showcase his strength as well when he plays at fullback. It's kind of crazy to say because he's a bit of a different player than Tedesco. Tedesco really uses his speed and footwork, and he's got a bit of ball playing skill too. And he really keeps the opposition on his toes. Manu has more of a power running game, and so he's a different style of player, but he's just as devastating. Like, they don't lose much with Manu at fullback. It's kind of crazy. Suwali is allowed to play in this game, which is really good for the Roosters. They've got Kevin Nguama in there. He comes into the centres. Let me just see. Matt Frawley's playing 5/8 for the Canberra Raiders. Corey Horsburgh is starting at prop for the Raiders, which is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. This one's a difficult one. This one's a really, really difficult one. I'm going to go with the institutional knowledge of the Sydney Roosters and the fact that Manu will be there at fullback. And I think that really mitigates a lot of that loss of Tedesco. So I think that that's something that will keep them at a certain level, whereas Papali is a massive, massive loss, I think, for the Raiders. And, it's going to be a close game. It's not going to be one of those games where the Roosters turn up on Sunday afternoon down there in Canberra and they're going to be looking forward to running out on that freezing fucking cold pitch that they have there at Bruce Stadium. But I think that they can get the job done nonetheless. So I'm going to tip the Sydney Roosters in this one. So they're my tips for the round. So my tips are North Queensland, Penrith, Manly and the Sydney Roosters. Look, I've picked all the favourites. But when you look at the prices and you look at who the favourites have out, I'm still going out on a little bit of a limb, all right? Now, my tipping so far this season has been absolutely atrocious. I'll bring up the tipping right now and I'll tell you where I'm standing and I'll tell you who the top teams are, the top people are. By the way, for State of Origin, we'll do a big State of Origin preview coming up. Not in this episode, in an episode that'll come up. I've picked New South Wales. So for the tipping competition, I sit in 70th place. Okay. Now, if you think I'm happy about that, I basically want to throw the toys out of the pram at this point. I'm unhappy about it. I think it's disgraceful how I'm going. I normally start off a little bit slow and come home with, a wet sail and normally get pretty close to winning tipping competitions. This is the worst I've done in, 6 or 7 years. And it happens. So the leader of the competition is Carla. She's out there in front with 73 total tips. Just behind her is Reagan. She's got 72. And Kirk also has 72. Hull Football Club, I doubt it's the real Hull Football Club, but they've got 71. They're in 4th place. Rachel is in 5th with 71. And then Shane and Matt, John, Arlie Bird, and Liam, they've all got 70 and they round out your top 10. Let me see where I am. I'm down in 70th. What am I on? So I've got 62 total tips and the leader has 73. So I need some big rounds coming up. Like, I think when the full rounds come up, I need some perfect rounds just to get back into the game. But I think that shows you, between 1 and 70, that's a pretty close competition we're running. It's a bloody good tipping competition to be leading. So good luck to Carla. You're kicking ass. Spooks 7 is her team's name. Now, tell your friends about the podcast. Tell them to start listening. Tell them, you know what you need to do. You need to, if you see someone with an iPhone, right, you grab their iPhone and you go to the little podcast icon. I think it's still purple. You go to the podcast icon, you subscribe to our podcast, and then you go and you leave a 5-star rating at the bottom and you leave a little review. And it can say anything. It can be like, tell us your favourite player, tell us the club you support, just say hello. Tell us what you think of the Obi-Wan series. I've just watched episode 3, no spoilers. Oh my God, I'm loving it. It's so good. Also check out leaguefreak.com. That's my website. I post all of the podcast episodes there and do a little bit of writing from time to time there. Check out the lookalikes. You'll really enjoy them. Share them around. Check out Rugby League Project. I think you've probably heard of that website. There's a guy called Andrew Ferguson. He used to be on this podcast and he works on Rugby League Project. And yeah, follow all of the social media that we've got going. You can find it all at fergoandthefreak.com. And you can go there and send emails to us again. We get the emails once more. So, it's only a quick episode. It's a split round. What do you want from me, man? We'll try and get an episode in sometime between now and our normal Monday episode that we do at the moment. I'm going to talk about, I think what I'll do is a solo episode coming out where I talk about expansion in Super League and what I think about expansion in Super League And that's all I'm giving you, just a little bit of a teaser. So thank you for listening. Thanks to Palmerbet.com for sponsoring the podcast. Remember, gamble responsibly. Get ready for these games coming up, and then it's Origin time, baby.
Palmerbet with the big don't argue. Punters will love that. Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.